Dear friends, here we are yet again at the lecture center, and it's time to talk about something I am very passionate about, and that's education. Why haven't we been talking about it? I think there are a gazillion podcasts, podcasters, people are writing books, but education is seemingly falling by the wayside. We are ignoring the many varied problems that we are having in our educational system. And I have decided to do a brief video about it, and I want to thank you all for joining me because I think this is a topic that deserves to be explored. And of course, education has indeed been a contentious subject. Like I said, it's time to talk about it. I remember over the years that politicians often talked about the No Child Left Behind, and they also talked about providing more funding for the underserved communities, and of course the proliferation of charter schools and present-day school choices. It's all up in the air. But I've never heard anyone propose any true educational reform. Friends, I've been around the world and back again, and if anyone can give you an unbiased account of what's happening in the school system, it's me. And we're in real trouble. And we, in fact, are in a dire state of affairs. Education is failing the youth at the lower level and also, of course, at the higher level. And it's really worse at the higher level. And we all understand that elementary ed is supposed to be foundational. Without a foundation, we actually have nothing to build upon. Therefore, it would, or shall I say it should, make sense that higher education would reflect what one has learned in the lower school. So let us discuss this. Just what is the problem and how do we rectify it, if it is at all possible? I would say that there are a plethora of issues with education today, but what I do want to focus on is what is problematic of the times. Well, what I actually mean is, what is the issue at hand? And that is, education is not allowing for the advancement of mankind. You see, in order for you to truly comprehend my statement, you would need to know that I believe the sole purpose of education is to, number one, civilize man, and number two, advance man well into the future. Now, what we're talking about is evolution. I'm certain that we can argue that there are other, perhaps more practical reasons for educating the masses, but I don't think now is the time to do it. Why? Because I've identified the chief reasons for educational reform, and at present, nobody will tackle this. That's why I have. What I mean is that I've already tackled it. I'm going to give you a hint of what I've discovered. Let's talk about what education is. For those who are lost in the sauce, education these days is for the sole purpose of producing not well-rounded citizens who are able to contribute to society, but instead automatons, those who will eagerly conform to a society that seeks to sustain itself. Friends, I said sustain itself, not you. And what it also desires is that people will go to work without questioning the status quo. For you see, those are the easiest to control. A good employee is a yes man, a scared man, one who goes to work strictly for a check and nothing more. He really has no desire to contribute to advancement, the advancement of himself or the company. He is simply there for his own benefit. And if that isn't anything special, because I don't think it is, it really is about his own survival. You see, there is really no meaning at all to anything this person does. Work has no meaning other than to secure a paycheck for the purpose of paying bills, which amounts to a menial survival. And that is what education has been reduced to. Just simply enough to keep one's head above water. And that's the definition of survival. Many teachers do what they do because year after year, it's the same thing. And they want it that way. They don't want to be challenged. They don't want to be told that they must develop at least one new lesson or curricular learning goal a year. They want to remain as they are. And this is the reason why students are not being challenged, nor are they actually prepared for the ever-changing world that we are in. But yet again, when confronted politically with the issues confronting educators and administrators, they always say it's about the money. But I say, what does money have to do with innovation and new ideas? Not only this, what does money have to do with establishing consequences for classroom incivility and downright bad conduct? Now, of course, the answer would be, it takes a great deal of money to run and maintain a school. We don't have enough resources. But friends, it's not just about the building. And it's not just about the payroll. It's about the students. If a school is not preparing students for the future, then what the hell is the point? What I'm really saying is that school ought to evolve the character of man, both intellectually and spiritually. That is the mind and the heart of the individual. And my friends, it's a feat. This type of work is not for the faint of heart. It's reserved for those who have a true love for what they do. Meaning that they're just not doing it for security. You see, I have no problem going into more detail about exactly how all of this can be accomplished. And I have. In many ways I have. And if you want to know any more about it, go to Medium or Substack, the Lecture Center, and read my essays. But in the meantime, please know that my heart is in education and my dedication to it is real. What really has me up in arms is the fact that many educators, administrators, and politicians know that everything I'm saying is true, but they refuse to promote a true resolution. Money cannot solve the problem of the failure to thrive. Money can perhaps attract better educators, but that's not necessarily true because being an educator is not just about how well one can actually provide the instruction. Providing instruction is the tactical and technical part, and it is of great relevance, but it doesn't address the heart of the issue. That is the simple fact that institutions of education are not teaching for the purpose of cultural and spiritual advancement. There exists no real rudimentary teaching. What I'm actually saying is that teaching is not rooted in anything that provides students with a clear understanding of purpose and meaning. There is a disconnection from nature and the origin of all things. How can we teach children who are becoming adults without teaching where things originate? I suppose they will say, well, we have social studies and history courses that address that, but no, that's not the same thing. In order to teach at a rudimentary level, one must understand the origin of all things. One must have an understanding of the inner workings of nature. Friends, we have everything to do with nature, and to understand it, to know its laws, helps us to learn how to use it to advance ourselves. Everything has a root cause. For instance, in order to properly teach science, one must be attuned to the workings of nature and its laws. Electricity, the climate, chemicals, and ecosystems are a product of nature, not man. And anyone who dares to teach science ought to have reverence and a deep comprehension of nature. The rule doesn't just apply to science teachers, but also math, which also derives its laws from natural phenomena. All the shapes are found in nature, as are the elements on the periodic table. The interesting thing about knowledge is that in order to acquire it, one must humble himself to God so that he can receive it. Knowledge doesn't come from books. It doesn't come from Google. It comes from the alignment with God, which is the inner self, and nature. Education at its highest level must teach students how to acquire knowledge. As you can see, I have ambitious aims, and high aspirations for the future of education, and very shortly, I plan to work with some of the most esteemed men and women in order to bring my vision to fruition. As of now, I give credit to God for my ability to solve the dilemma of education, and also my fellow men who are willing to work alongside me to advance humanity. I also thank you, the listener, who's willing to follow my channel, read my essays, and just overall support me. You have no idea that you are supporting a much higher cause. If you like this content and you desire more, please like, subscribe, and follow. The time is now.